what we do as an organization is look at mental health interventions slightly differently for urban India versus rural India. There's a lot of belief in faith healers, in religious practices. A lot of the instances of mental illness are severe, like you said. So people believe that, this person is possessed. And because of the lack of awareness, lack of knowledge. But in rural India, it's absolutely not available. And so the cost of treatment was anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 rupees per month per person. And that cost is now reduced to less than 100 rupees.
A lot of people again say this, that mental health or depression is a rich man's problem.
When we visited Davangere district, I had met with a gentleman whose son was going through severe mental illness, and his primary form of income was agriculture. And because there was no access to treatment in his district, he had to go to the nearest district for treatment and support. And to be able to afford that, he had to actually sell a part of his land.
Through my share of therapy, and I also found it expensive. Is it somewhere that it can be affordable? Today's girl boss is very special. I'll tell you why. She's an advocate for mental health. She's a CEO for the LiveLoveLaugh Foundation. Not only that, she's been a sports person in her life. She was a golfer, an avid golfer, representing India in international forums. She's very beautiful as well. She is a Bangalore girl, and today she is with us here on this couch, Anisha Padukone.
Hi, Saiba. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, as a CEO for... how do you use an abbreviation? Do you say LLL?
You can say LLL.
Yeah?
It's easier.
All right. So formally, I'm going to say LLL. How has that journey been? Because I know your sister founded it, if I'm not wrong, when she was cruising through her own mental health experience. And with this foundation, now you're also involved, and you were her caretaker. I believe I've heard her say in interviews that you helped her a lot. So was there always a sense of taking mental health and using your abilities to spread the word, or you actually wanted to get into the industry? And what is your role currently? Describe your role, your responsibilities, and your vision. What do you want to do with LLL?
Sure. So my role primarily entails a lot of the driving the strategy, the partnerships and collaborations, fundraising, the typical stuff that a CEO would do, nothing different. While we are a not-for-profit, it pretty much works the same as it would in another organization. I have a wonderful team of colleagues who help me run it. Obviously, it's not just me doing it, but it's important that someone at the top is monitoring things and running it. I work very closely with our board of trustees.
Okay, so you have a board of trustees.
We have a board of trustees, fairly very credible themselves, and we have quarterly board meetings. So there's always sort of reporting back to them that happens on various fronts. And in terms of the overall vision for the organization, I mean, a lot dependent on the vertical and the kind of sort of thing that we want to do, but ideally, we focus on three core areas. One is awareness of mental health, access to credible information and resources, and also while focusing on the affordability aspect, not just in rural India,
so
but also
three prominent A's.
The three prominent A's is what we focus on. When it comes to mental health per se, and maybe we've done that to a certain extent, but obviously still a very long way to go. But putting mental health in the sort of spotlight. It's a little bit of, we talk about this, in our meetings, which is the correlation between what physical health has become now for India as a country, as opposed to say 15, 20 years back, where everyone is focusing on it from a preventive lens, as opposed to curative. Similarly, even with mental health, of course, with the more treatable forms, working on it at a preventive level.
I know a lot of people again say this, that mental health or depression or any sort of issue associated with it, people might say that during COVID also this was a threat. Again, I don't know why this term is coming. It's a rich man's problem. Where I feel rural India also has a very, very prevalent issue of mental health. If I know the stats, I was reading somewhere, it's kind of shocking, a lot of bipolar disorder, a lot of schizophrenia, mainly in rural India. And people are not aware of it. Now cut to rural, where it's such a taboo. How do you navigate through that?
what we do as an organization is look at mental health interventions slightly differently for urban India versus rural India. So you touched upon what it's like in rural India. So typically when it comes to stigma, there's a lot of belief in faith healers, in religious practices.
Yes.
And a lot of that is, at least in my opinion, is largely because a lot of the instances of mental illness are severe, like you said, schizophrenia, psychosis, bipolar disorder.
Right.
So people believe that, this person is possessed. And because of the lack of awareness, lack of knowledge. Having said that, like I said, the program model is robust in the sense that we work with the entire ecosystem.
Nice.
To be able to eventually get that help and support to the beneficiaries.
But now talking about the economics of a not-for-profit,
Sure.
I know the main reason a not-for-profit comes is to create impact. It's not about the money. But I also do believe that money plays an important role because impact becomes deeper when there is money, right? You can reach your beneficiaries better, easier, and further.
Absolutely.
So how does it work? Do you work on donations? Do you
That's
work on a trust? How does it work for LLL?
So it really depends on what you are what the organization is registered as. Within not-for-profits, there are 3 or 4 categories. We are registered as a charitable trust.
Okay.
And 100% of everything that we get is from donations. These can be from individuals. There are some people who donate a small part of their salary every month.
Okay.
There are people who are high net worth individuals. There are corporates through CSR. There's some funds that come in from foreign sources, which falls under FCRA, which translate to Foreign Currency Regulations.
So you have your license, and
we have our license.
Right.
So
which is also not easy to get. It takes
there's a lot of compliance and paperwork, rightly so, involved. So that's primarily the ways in which we raise funds.
Okay.
And all of the funds that we raised are primarily used towards programmatic interventions to help, like I mentioned, our rural program, to be able to help beneficiaries, or if it's in urban India, to be able to...
Right, and sustaining your team who are working at...
Yes, but we try and make sure that that's a very, very small percentage of the overall budget. It's something that we're very particular about. So one of the ways in which we do that, in fact, is we have a very, very small team of, I think we're about 12 people now.
Okay.
But we manage the show primarily by partnering with other organizations.
So the execution...
you're also sort of, in a sense, helping the ecosystem. For example, in our rural program, a lot of the partners that we work with are grassroots level organizations that live and reside in the communities, themselves.
Do you work with Anganwadi and...
We do. Separately, as part of the program, we do work with them. There's no financial benefit there because they're government employees at the end of the day. But the grassroots level partners that we work with, in a sense, help us execute the program.
You've told us where the money is coming from, where it's going. Now, you said you're managing 12 people. How is it being a leader in this space?
I think, like I said, I'm blessed to have a wonderful team that I work with. We're all sort of very much in sync. It's different to work in a non-profit, or at least in ours. What is different from, say, a for-profit organization is that there's something greater than yourself that you're working towards.
Right.
And I think that is something, firstly, that drives and motivates all of us.
Of course.
Secondly, all of us in some way or the other, and I do focus on this a little bit when we're recruiting, all of us in some way or the other have either experienced mental illness ourselves or have family members and people who have experienced it, and so the
empathy part comes.
The empathy part comes in, but also the understanding of the topic, the drive, the determination to help others, automatically comes in. So these are just some of the things that we focus on.
Yeah, Anisha, I don't know if it's misinformation or it's actually true, but whether it's getting treatments for mental health, it's said to be expensive. I've gone through my share of therapy, and I also found it expensive. Is there an alternate? Is it somewhere that it can be affordable?
I mean, there are things that different people can do. There's no doubt about it. It's maybe similar to a lot of other illnesses that mental health care is also expensive. A typical cost of, say, a therapy session in a tier 1 city, urban India, would be anywhere between, maybe on an average, around 1,500 to 2,000 per session. On an average, of course, up and down. And for someone who has to maybe take, 4 sessions a month, that's, it's a substantial amount. So, but on the flip side, I do understand that it takes a lot for a mental health professional to train, to become a professional. And, unlike in other, other forms of, say, treatment, here you're spending one full hour with either 30 minutes or typically one if you're a counselor.
But I still feel, sorry I'm cutting you off, it's still the cheaper globally in India. Because for a lot of therapists or psychologists abroad, and I've compared some of their fees, it's starkly expensive. And a lot of them, I feel, when they come to India, and I've had a friend who went through her entire therapy in India because of affordability.
Right.
So I think there's a global India paradox as well, but there's also that for India, it's still...
Honestly, I haven't researched enough to know India versus global in terms of the benchmarks. But when it comes to India, yes, it is expensive. There's no doubt about it. There's also a severe shortage of mental health professionals, right? So those who are qualified, charge a certain amount because they are qualified.
Of course,
right?
yes.
They've gone typically gone abroad and spent money to train or put in a certain number of years. If you're a psychiatrist, you've studied medicine. So I get both sides of it. Having said that, by no means should healthcare be expensive. It should be affordable.
On the other side, in rural India, where we said the stigma, and then affordability becomes an issue. How are people going through their share of getting over mental health illnesses there? If they can't afford?
I mean, understandably so, it's far worse in rural India. I think the primary challenge there is, apart from just the affordability or economic aspect, it's also just the access. We live in, urban areas where it's maybe a little bit easier to access help, support, medication, treatment. But in rural Indias, it's absolutely not available. And so the cost of treatment was anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 rupees per month per person.
Okay.
And that cost is now reduced to less than 100 rupees per person.
What?
So
that's amazing.
It is. It's pretty amazing what you can do.
Because you've made them like self-sustained.
One is we've brought. So there were no doctors available, right? So we had to arrange for a doctor from Nimhans from Bangalore to go in to the district and then train local doctors. That's one. Secondly, there was no medication. Even if a doctor is there, there's no medication or not enough medication being stocked. Now with advocacy with the local administration, even medication is available.
Right.
And all of this is, and most importantly, all of this is now available at your nearest center, your health center, as opposed to having to travel to, a faraway district. So I remember when we visited Davangere district in 2017, I had met with a gentleman whose son was going through severe mental illness, and his primary form of income was agriculture. And because there was no access to treatment in his district, he had to go to the nearest district for treatment and support. And to be able to afford that, he had to actually sell a part of his land. And it's really disheartening to see, things like that.
Yeah. So even for people who want to get into this line, whether it's social development, social impact, there are a lot of young people who watch this podcast. Do you have any advice? Because I know a lot of people come in either with the wrong perception of how the industry is, or once they come in, they get completely deluded about, what's happening in other industries, so they leave. So,
a couple of things may be slightly contradictory. One, to dispel notions about popular belief, you can have a career in the non-profit sector. It's not that typical, that you have to work without being paid or without an income. So that's not true. The non-profit sector, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, is becoming a lot more organized. There are several, I would say hundreds and thousands, not even hundreds, thousands and thousands of NGOs in the country doing fantastic work across various sectors like education, healthcare, skilling, livelihoods.
Right.
So if you have an area of passion that you want to be able to focus in, you can have a career in this. Having said that, on the flip side, if you're coming in to make money only, and if that is what drives you, then this is not necessarily the sector for you.
Right. And I also think
overall,
the same skills you would need in any other industry, you need for the social sector. You need strategy, accounts, numbers, financing, everything. Especially, I think consultants in the field have to. There's so many MBA grads who work for not-for-profit because those skills are needed. So I think India is a great market because a lot of social work needs to be done.
Absolutely. The point that you made about having the skills that you need in the for-profit sector, I'd say you need the skills of a for-profit sector, but you need to have the heart of a social sector person.
That's a great line. We should have that in bold here. Obviously, there have been completely, like I introduced you to different phases in your life. Yeah. You've been from a sports family, I can say. So your dad, obviously, everyone knows him. He's done great for India. He's a sportsman. So your childhood was surrounded by sports, I'm assuming.
That's right.
What made you choose golf and not badminton?
Exactly like you said, there was a sort of a sporting culture in the family. By that, a lot of it remained about being active, physically active. I changed my school in 5th grade, and the school that I eventually went to prioritized sports, or about 2 hours of sports every day.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
So that was really my first, I would say, formal association with sport. I've honestly played a lot of sport, a lot of different types of sport.
What all sports have you played?
Some sports at a state level, and then of course golf national. I've played football, hockey, cricket, basketball.
Yeah.
Golf was just one of the things that I tried. And I remember my mother at one point said, you know what, you can't be a jack of all trades. You've got to pick one if you want to make a career out of it. Because I was fairly certain by the age of, around 10 or 11 that I wanted to be an athlete.
That early on you knew?
Pretty early on.
Yeah.
I just loved being out in the sun. I just loved playing, and whichever sport I played, I really enjoyed playing it. And it wasn't until I actually played golf that I said, okay, this is the one that I'm going to pick up too.
This is an assumption, and I don't know if it's true or not. You can be the better guide for that golf is a rich person's game, because obviously where you play is not so accessible.
Yeah.
Do you think over the years it's become better, or it's still too exclusive?
No, I still think, for my liking, I think it's still too exclusive. I think you're absolutely right. No two ways about it, and we don't have to beat around the bush. It is in a sense, a rich man's sport.
Right.
It's not fairly accessible. And I'll even tell you one of the main reasons for that is to have a sport that is accessible. Affordability is one, but also being able to access
the ground.
The ground. So in India, unfortunately, most of the golf courses that you have to access require membership.
Right.
For which you have to pay, a good deal of
or just
money.
Like a one-time fee is also
or
massive.
A one-time fee, which is very expensive.
Right.
So unlike in Western countries where there are public golf courses that you can go to for very nominal fees.
I know Australia is one of the countries that has maximum number of golf courses.
Everywhere, US, UK, Australia,
everywhere.
Canada.
And when I was comparing the fees, either of membership or the access fees, it's strangely more in India.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was very strange.
Yeah.
But all right, maybe we have a long way to go. So golf as a profession, I wanted to know, how does it work? How do you enter? What is your role as a golfer, and what are the kind of fees and commercials that revolve around that career option?
So it's variably different for women and for men, although that gap is sort of changing. But in golf, the day you turn 18, you're considered an amateur golfer.
Yeah.
And up until the time that you actually go to, for the men, you go to qualifying school, and for the women as well, you sort of qualify and declare that you're a professional.
Yeah.
And then from amateur status, you qualify and become a professional.
Yeah.
Now, at least when I was playing or competing, when you're a junior golfer as well as an amateur golfer, you were not allowed to earn any money.
Oh, you don't get paid?
You don't get paid.
Unlike tennis or cricket, where you get paid no matter what your age is.
It was a worldwide rule by the federation, the Golfing Federation, or the RNA that governs the rules of golf.
That's strange, because it's very expensive for you to invest in yourself as a golfer.
Yeah.
And then till 18, you're not getting paid for it.
At least till 18. Exactly what you said. It's an expensive sport.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to, you're not earning anything in terms of prize money or otherwise. So it does definitely sort of make a
So for you, when did you start earning?
There are some of the oil companies in India that that have athletes. So I was part of one of those companies on a scholarship basis.
Right.
That was probably the first time. I must have been late teens, early 20s when I actually got my, say, first earning, if I can call it that, from
So your first earning
golf.
was from golf?
That's right.
Do you remember how much you got?
It was a stipend of about, I think, 15,000 a month. So that's right. Yes.
Right.
So the
And
company
then
would
was
pay
there
you.
an added on for if you're competing in any tournament or you're playing, you get an additional payment?
That's
for
right. For travel, boarding and lodging and competing, you would get, a little bit extra for that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, then of course, when you turn professional, you can get various sponsors, you get prize money, you get all of that.
So for a golfer to earn money, what are the sources? One is sponsorship, like you said.
That's right.
Then one is per match money, I'm assuming.
No, yes, prize money per tournament.
So it's prize money.
Prize money.
You'll only get if you win something.
If you qualify. So let's say there's a field of 100 people. Typically, in a men's tournament it'll be a 4-day event. After 2 days, 50 people make the cut. They call it a cut. And 50 people don't. So if you don't make the cut, you don't make any money that week.
Right.
And obviously you've spent, a certain amount of money to travel and stuff. So in a sense, a lot of golfers go out of pocket.
Right.
And then if you do make that cut, sometimes if you finish at the bottom of that pile, you will make a little bit maybe to cover some of your costs. And as you go higher and you perform better, you earn well.
Right.
So if you win the tournament, then of course you make a decent amount of money. There's also a very big difference between the amount of money you earn playing in India versus the amount of money you earn playing, say...
So international tournaments will pay different.
That's right, exactly.
Right. So during your time while you were playing, what do you think was the range for like a Cat A category golfer who's doing tours outside as well can earn up to? And how much probably someone who is relatively a new professional but competing can earn?
So I would think, again, not too sure of the numbers. In the women's category, I'd say maybe the time that I was playing, the winner of a tournament would earn probably about $1.5 for that week. Lakh and a half, around that range. And of course, all of this is without deducting, say, tax or without calculating all of the other expenses that you have to actually play the tournament. And then in the men's category, it will be a lot higher. I'm not familiar with the numbers, but significantly higher because one is the number of sponsors, the number of men playing. All of that is a lot more.
Got it. Do you sometimes feel like, but as much as I start getting to know more about other sports, like there's a huge discrepancy between what a sports person in cricket can earn versus what a sports person in any of the other sports can earn. I feel like there's cricket and all other sports in terms of earnings. I'm not talking about in terms of skill or merit. All sport is difficult, at least for me. I'm very bad at sport. And it comes with a set of challenges and discipline. But in terms of ROI, you feel India has not reached there yet?
We're in a capitalistic market. The viewership and things like that will obviously determine how much eventually the players get paid. It's similar to, say, football globally. Cricket in India, we all know, is a religion, largely because everybody follows it, everybody watches it. It's a mass game. Everyone is invested, sponsors and brands are invested, which is also why, the BCCI is the richest in the world. I think, but a lot of it is just determined by, viewership and the market itself. And if we are able to, in a sense, sell other sports or make it more marketable, that's where it sort of grows. And then you also have a live golf where you're seeing sort of astronomical figures coming in for golf because the format is, if I can give the viewers a sense, it's a little bit of a T20 format of golf. Audiences of all age groups can come in and watch.
But I'm intrigued to know why did you leave then?
Why did I quit golf? Honestly, I didn't plan to. I was still competing and playing, and I wanted to be able to have some interests outside of the golfing world as well. And around that time is when the LiveLoveLaugh Foundation was set up, about a year into it. I wanted to go and volunteer my time to be able to obviously contribute, but also to be able to learn maybe new skills, things that I didn't know earlier. Wanted to expand my frame of reference, things like that. So that's really the intention with which I started going, now and then to the foundation. But one of the things that struck me very early on was, I think, my own journey as a caregiver with regard to mental health. Secondly, how much there is to do in this field.
Yeah.
And thirdly, and most importantly, the potential that this particular organization, that's Live, Love, Laugh, has, or at that time had, to be able to make a really, really substantial impact.
All right, Anisha, we're going to do a rapid fire with you. Okay, this
Do I get a hamper?
Should we give a hamper? We should give her something.
No, I'm not competing with anyone.
So this is not masaledar, and this is not like the typical rapid fire.
Fantastic.
So you don't need to stress, but you need to answer fast.
Okay. Let me just...
yeah, you take a sip of your water. 3 practices to keep your mind healthy.
Maintain boundaries in certain things. Disconnect from devices, my phone,
right,
for a certain amount of time in the evening. And also, most recently, I've been tracking my parameters and things that I do, including sleep and recovery.
Right. So that's a new thing that you're doing.
So, for the last couple of months. So I think that's really helped me with my overall, nutrition, sleep, recovery, things like that.
Oh, perfect. 3 things not to say to someone who is going through depression or mental illness.
Gosh, there are thousands. But I'll try and summarize it. Snap out of it.
Oh God.
Get over it, you'll be fine. And anything in that sort of space. I mean, you can't just tell a person, person is clinically
stay
ill.
Positive.
Stay positive,
Be happy, stay
Be
positive.
happy, stay positive. Chal, let's go for a movie. Doesn't work. Sorry.
God. Okay, so that line of... All right. Okay, last question. Apart from golf and what you do currently, if you had to choose a third career option, what would Anisha Padukone be?
Apart from being an athlete or mental health, gosh, honestly, I have never thought about it.
How has your relationship been with money growing up? Because I know how it is in your adulthood is very different from what it was growing up. Has it changed over the years?
Absolutely. I think because your priorities change, I think you learn more. When you're younger, sometimes you're innocent, you're shielded, and you don't realize what money does. And the fact that money, let's be honest, money makes the world go round. Love as well, but money also makes the world go round. So I think you learn as you grow. For me, I think...
Do you strategize your investment?
I do.
You do?
So I don't do it myself. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of knowledge. But I am, like I said, I'm on top of things. I do regular sort of review meetings. I understand. So to a certain extent, I know what maybe... from an overview perspective, what the markets are like. I will know where I've invested. I'll ask questions. I've always been a very, like I said, I've always been a very curious person. So happy to learn, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. So in that sense, I've been able to, like I said, get a better understanding about all of these things.
So do you invest in mutual funds, gold, stocks, real estate? Do you have your categories or your portfolio? How does your portfolio look like?
Primarily mutual funds. Largely equity, and then part of it debt, and a couple of other things as well. But as of now, that's
the main chunk. So do you invest in stocks? Do you do the stock market?
Not myself, no.
And say, for example, how much percentage do you believe in saving / spending / investing? Do you have a certain amount in your mind that you usually do?
So, again, relative to what you earn, and extremely subjective, this question. And that has changed for me over a period of time. I'd say currently I'm probably at about 30% to 40% of what I earn is what I save in various forms. Save, invest, etc. My father urges me to increase that amount, which I should be doing as well, which I will do. So that's basically where it's at.
Well, that's a good number. Things that you wish young girls unlearned about being a woman.
Unlearned. Maybe don't be apologetic for taking care of yourself. I think in India we have, and I'm coming a little bit from the mental health perspective or the well-being perspective. I think in India as women, we're playing so many different roles as daughters, mothers, sisters, wives, daughter-in-law. So we're constantly being pulled in various directions. And I think and then if you add a profession to that, then it's a, whole different ballgame altogether. So I think sometimes as women, we feel a certain sense of guilt to be able to, or we don't give it enough importance.
You're right about that.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important for women to unlearn that. Firstly, you need to prioritize yourself before you can prioritize anyone else.
Like, nicely said.
That would probably be.
And what's next for Anisha Padukone? What are you looking forward to in your life for the next few years?
What I look forward to is, work-wise, continuing to do the work that we're doing, making a lot more impact, helping a lot more people, millions of more lives that need to be, helped and impacted. And overall, as long as I'm healthy and happy, I don't think I can ask for anything more.
That's amazing. We ask this one question to every girl boss who comes here. It's like a fill-in-the-blank question. To you, according to you, a girl boss is dash?
Probably the same. A typical answer would be confident and, whole bunch of other things. But no, I don't think it necessarily has to be a personality type. I think anyone who's also just comfortable in their own skin, someone who's happy, someone who's healthy.
So someone who's herself.
Someone who's herself, exactly. Yeah. Be comfortable being who you are, I think.
Oh, sweet. Thank you so much, Anisha, for being a part of this talk. It was very different from all the other talks, and it was really nice.
Do you just say that to all your guests?
No, I learned so much, like different things from everyone, but I'm leaving this space very happy and positive for some reason.
Great.
Yeah.
So the live, love and laugh is working.
Yeah, your mission has been very infectious for me also. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed this conversation as well.
Thank you, and best of luck for all your future projects. I'm very intrigued to know and see what all happens, and even in the rural space, what you're doing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And like I told her, congratulations on being a Masi as well. That is very sweet and very cute and very wholesome. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please let us know if there's any specific girl boss you want us to bring to this couch. Comment below, and you know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe to 01 Women by Zerodha.